It's torrential rain, but it's not blowing a gale, and we're on the boat. Let's roll that intro. Oh, it is a torrential, rainy sort of day. Let me just wipe you off here and put you somewhere where it's not as torrentially rainy. Let's set you in here. Will that work? Will that work? It might work. Don't fall, don't fall, don't fall. There we go. So there we go. We're out. We're on the water. We've got the rods in. Well, I've got 3 of them in, 4 with another one sitting there ready to go. And I am enjoying myself. It's been a while since I got days off work, so I'm fishing. Apologies for the lack of videos. Life got in the way. I'm sure you all understand. In a while I'm going to show you the rigs I'm using, the rods I'm using, the bait I'm using, show you everything, and we will see about catching a pike. The water temperatures are still pretty warm. They're still about 12-13 degrees. It's the start of October, so I would have thought the water temperatures would have started to cool by now. The river is very, very low. Very, very low. You know, it's a good maybe 2 feet lower than it should be. The big lock, the lower lock, is treacherous to put a boat in anywhere because it's that low. Even the upper lock, I mean, I was putting the boat in at Carry Bridge, and anyone that knows Carry Bridge knows that the slip is okay if the water's high, because you don't have to reverse to the end of the fucking concrete slip. But you're reversing down a hill that's like this anyway on a slip, but the approach to the slip is a hill like this, so you're having to do a bit of foot to the floor to get the boat, especially my boat. 2-wheel drive, 2-litre VW caddy van. Definitely got all its horses tested pulling the boat out and getting it up that hill and onto flat ground. Looking at buying something 4-wheel drive. I was looking at a Land Cruiser, but they're all sort of crazy money. I mean, I was looking at like a 2015, 2016 Land Cruiser, and they were wanting like 22 grand for it. I'm thinking, fuck me, 22 grand for a vehicle that's 10 years old. I mean, I know Toyota is a solid make of vehicle, but really? 22 grand? And then again, I suppose you get what you pay for. If you buy shit, you're going to get shit, so you're kind of at a loss, really. You don't really know what way to swerve. But hey ho, that's the way the world is, I guess. So I'm going to take in between the pissing rain, I'm staying hydrated, looking after myself by drinking the 0 sugar iron brew. Which tastes horrible. Bring back the real stuff. So let me get sorted. My boat is a fucking mess at the minute, and mess upsets me. So let me get sorted, and I will get back to you and show you the rigs and all the other accoutrements. There we go, you've learned a new word, accoutrement. Meaning collection of random shit that you need in your brain, but in reality it's nice to have. Accoutrement. Here is my free roaming float rig. You can see the bait on a little truss. Then you have your weight on your up truss. You have your clip to take everything off. I like clips. I like these. Once I catch a pike, the pike's in the net, I unclip the trusses and I get the rod away, because the rod is going to get stepped on or fucked up. Ask me how I know this, right? And then this goes to your floats. Obviously you have a bead that stops the float smashing off here, and you have another bead on the other side of the float. So you have 2 beads going to a stop knot, and then you have your float. I like these. These are If you can see that. Black cat tackle, 100 grams. So they're a pretty beefy float, which is what I like because they're very, very visible. I mean, here's one that's out on the water and you can see it like a dog's dick. It stands out. So, those are the floats that I use for free roaming baits. Still raining. I feel like a drowned rat. But it's been eventful. I've had 2 pike, nothing big, jacks. But I've also caught a cruiser that went past. It took a spool of 65-pound Power Pro and didn't even stop. So I've got to add a spool of Power Pro to the shopping list. I was a very unhappy camper. Very, very unhappy. I've got 2 rods out on each side of the boat. The first rods and the rods closest to me, they're on bottom rigs, ledgered. I think it's a roach, can't remember, and a bluey. And then I've got 2 rods at the back of the boat, and they're roving with roving dead bits. Have I mentioned that it is still raining? And I feel like my feet are beginning to get webbed. Oh. In other news, it still feels like a good day. I'm fishing. Has my back end come loose? Has it come off the fucking mud bit? I think it has. Let me go and reset the mud bit. Let me give you a guided tour of my boat. I start at the ass end. Here I am at the ass end of my boat. I'm going to flip these forward now so you can see right into the front. And that's enough of that because it's a mess. So the front's got all the stuff in it. For basically I have a load of coarse fishing gear and pike fishing gear in there. On the back of the boat you'll see unhooking gear or unhooking mat, batteries, small toolkit, petrol, an empty bucket of water. There is nothing in the water. I know I have to show that there because people will go, oh, he's fucking live bitten, he's a live bitten cunt. No fish in the water. Can't catch me. So, this is where we are. There is one float. There is 2 more. There is the 4th float. So yeah, baits are out. That's going into a deeper channel. That's going into about a 5 meter deep, 5.5, maybe 6 meter deep channel. The floats are set at about 4 meters. So yeah, everything's cool. I'm going to get back under the cuddy because I'm getting soaked. Still raining. Moved opposite the Tamla Bay. If you know Fermanagh and you know the upper, like the River Erne, you'll know where I am. 4 rods in. I'm just about to have a bite of lunch. Come on, Pike. I'm about to eat a sandwich, a sausage roll. And see if this does the trick. I think it's a safe assumption to say that, Fox, your waterproof clothing is not waterproof. I am soaked to my balls. Oh, right. There is one bit that is on this rod. That bit is still quite close in. It's on that rod. That bit out there is on that rod. And that rod has that bit. So we're as covered as we can be. I'm not fishing far. They're fishing into about 6 meters of water, which is quite good. I've got the nose in the reeds of the rivers here and got the two mud baits either side of it, because believe it or not, the wind blew the boat and I was dragging the mud bait, which is something, because that's an 18 kilo mud bait and a 15 kilo mud bait. I have two of them, one at the back end and one at the front, and the wind pushing the boat dragged them. So yeah, it's not a blank. Caught fish. I'm going to show you what I've done to the boat as well while I've got you here, while we're not having any action. Things I found with the boat when I got it was it needed a rewire job, needed an electrical update, so to speak. So I stripped out all the wires, everything, and put a new, everything that was electrical was replaced. I left nothing in the boat that was from old. Went away and got marine grade wire cables, you know, not messing around. I want to do it properly. I did buy a switch panel that goes down there, and the switch panel that I got at the start was plastic, and I thought because it came from a reputable seller, like place that sells the equipment for boating, that it would be cool. And it was expensive. It was like 40 quid for the plastic switch panel, and the switches were all just generic 5-pin toggle switch, rocker toggle switches. And I found after a year the plastic face of it had cracked and went to bits. Just don't know why it did that, but it did that. So I ended up buying this one, which is metal. It's aluminium. I also managed to get some individually named rocker switches. Obviously an important one for today. You can see how they light up when I switch them on. For somebody that's a complete biff electrically, I did a good job. I also found that the battery boxes, I bought plastic battery boxes for the two batteries. They didn't last either. So I went away and done this. I've went away and bought two battery trays for cars and secured them to the floor of the boat there. They're not drilled into the floor, they're just they're actually sitting on top of a 1/2 inch thick plastic board. The metal battery holder tray thing, they're screwed to that plastic board. The plastic board is then Sikaflexed with I had like 3/4 of a tube of Sikaflex glue, marine glue. So I used 3/4 of a tube of Sikaflex and glued it down to the floor. And from doing that there, from towing the boat, those batteries aren't moving. So yeah, so there's been some continuous improvements. Another thing I would like to do is put some more what's the right term? These things here. These things here. I want to put another one in here and another one in there. But that's mostly for if I go sea fishing, because if I go sea fishing you're going to have mackerel rods, and then you're going to have like the 15 to 20 pound rods if I'm going to target taupe. That is in the well, it's not in the fucking forecast for this year, but this year the taupe fishing is pretty much over. But I've been, you know, like continuously thinking, like, what can I do to... Another thing I need to do for this boat is buy a new cover, because the old cover is starting to fall to bits. So I need to speak to somebody who can make covers for boats. So yeah, besides you've already seen the fish finder, which is Garmin, really good, I really like it. You've seen the sexy phone holder, made from Berkeley. And apart from that, the boat is, as I say, as I show you, it is all she is. And I'm really enjoying being the owner of the boat, you know. So I'm not so much sure I'm going to spend a few more hours in this rain getting soaked. I think. Wait a minute. Do we have a run? Hold on. I think I might have a run. Hold on a second. It was a run, but I pulled the hooks out. It felt like did it off. So it was a run. So it's been a okay day, except for like the pissing rain, the mad cruisers going through my lines, and the pissing rain. Have I mentioned it's been like pissing with rain all day? Oh, my wife's just texted me and she said that she's going to make mince and spuds. And at this point in time, when I'm soaked to my balls, mince and spuds sounds fucking amazing. You know, it's one of those dishes that you have to have on a cold, horrible, miserable day. It's like Irish stew. It just kind of sticks to the ribs. It makes you feel kind of warm and happy. So I think I might give it another hour and then load the boat up and drive home. So what else has been happening in the world? How are you guys all doing? You know, the more and more I watch the news, the more and more depressed I get, if I'm honest with you. I mean, from Ozzy Osbourne passing away, yes, we knew Ozzy, he was at that age where it was likely to happen. And the fact that Ozzy hadn't passed away years ago from the Herculean amount of narcotics and beer the man drunk is a mystery known only to science. But it genuinely touched me when Ozzy passed away. I did shed a tear for the guy. I'm going to tell you a story. Now this is I don't need to be the measure of the man. I mean, everybody knows Ozzy Osbourne, what he's done. But I'm going to tell you a story. There's a hospital outside Birmingham called Selly Oak Hospital. And it's where they take servicemen when they've been fucked up in Iraq or Afghanistan. And it's basically to save your lives. It's like where they do surgery. First of all, they stabilise you in theatre. Usually they put you into an induced coma. Then they fly you back home via Akrotiri in Cyprus, then to Ramstein in Germany, then to the UK. The whole time, the mission is to get you home alive. Because in theatre, because of the Camp Bastion or Basra Palace, they might have the best combat medics in the world, but they can't do the same things that what Selly Oak Hospital can do. So anyway, there's a young infantry soldier, and he's lying in a bed and he's still unconscious. He was the victim of a IED, an improvised explosive device. Driving a convoy, bomb went off, bomb took out the vehicle, and the young, I say young, apparently he was in his 30s, you know, person at the same time I heard this story, you know, he was about the same sort of age as I was, and he was in this medically induced coma at Selly Oak Hospital, and Ozzy Osbourne came for a visit. He went to visit the wounded veterans, the wounded soldiers, sailors, airmen. He took a walk around and he was talking to everybody and he posed for photographs and he basically, you know, raised morale. Did a small thing to make people kind of go, wow, thanks very much for coming in to kind of, you know, help me and make me feel a bit better. Well, this young kid was a massive fan of heavy metal, much like myself. I love heavy metal. It's the music that keeps me sane. And his wife had said to Ozzy that he's going to be gutted when he wakes up because he's such a fan of yours. You know, he loves heavy metal and hard rock music and blah, blah, blah. And the visit ended, and of course Ozzy had to go. And the soldier woke up, and he was then told, you know, Ozzy Osbourne came to the hospital. Here's a photograph of Ozzy standing beside you while you were in the hospital bed. And the kid was like, oh wow, you know, thanks, at least I've got a photograph. It was a good thing, you know, good, at least I got a photograph. I'd love to have met him, but at least I got a photograph. About 6 months after the kid got out of the hospital setting, he was doing his rehabilitation setting. I think at the time he was coming to terms with the fact that his career in the army was over because of his injuries. He could no longer soldier. So that's something any serviceman will tell you about. You know, when you leave the military, you know, usually you do a thing called resettlement, where they train you to go and do other shit, you know, so you can kind of leave the forces and at least do a fucking job, you know. But when you're medically injured and medically put out, you don't get your resettlement. You know, you're just basically what's called medical discharge, and that's quite hard, you know, for a person to mentally adjust to 1 minute having all that routine and that regimental life and that camaraderie with your friends, to the next minute it's gone, and you're on the streets and you're wondering what do we do now. So he was dealing with all of this, and he got a letter, and the letter was to fly him and his partner to, because I don't know how it happened, but apparently Ozzy Osbourne had found out that he was you know, out of the military, and he was fit and capable, fit enough to go to a music gig. Ozzy took the guy to one of the, I think it might actually have been the Download Festival in the UK, where Black Sabbath headlined it. Black Sabbath did like a reunion, and Ozzy paid for this guy to come, paid for his hotels, a VIP pass, and instead of just meeting Ozzy, he got to meet everybody, because backstage everyone was like, this is Ozzy's guest, everyone wanted to kind of talk to him. Now, there's something pure about that, you know. Okay, they called him the King of Darkness and Prince of Darkness and all sorts of stuff, from the biting the head of the bat and pissing on the Alamo and various other things, you know. I'm not saying he was an angel, but I am saying he was an inspiration. And I am saying his life mattered to the people around him, not just his family. Of course, it's going to matter to his family, but it mattered to his fans. And when that story when I heard that story, you know, I kind of thought, yeah, that's a man I can be happy. That's a man. So I had a few drinks for Ozzy when he passed. Fuck it. Too wet to play fishing. Time to go home.